Tony Gwynn is the greatest pure hitter in the history of baseball. His ability to hit the ball to all fields was baffling to fans and players alike. Hall of Fame manager Tommy Lasorda in 1984 said, "How do you defend a hitter who hits the ball down the left field line, the right field line, and up the middle?" He poses an intriguing question, and one with a simple answer: you can't. Defending against Tony Gwynn is like trying to hit a bullseye with a blindfold on. If you've been watching my videos for a while, you would know that I enjoy talking about Tony Gwynn. He's the most requested and talked about player in the comments section of my videos. Here are a few of the comments that served as inspiration for talking about Tony Gwynn today. As always, if you enjoy the video, make sure to leave a like and consider subscribing. Anthony Keith Gwynn was born in Los Angeles, California on May 9th in 1960. He was born to father Charles and mother Vendella. Charles was a warehouse manager and Vendella was a postal worker. Tony was the middle child, wedged between his older brother Charles and younger brother Chris. The Gwynn family moved to Long Beach when Tony was just 9 years old. The Gwynn brothers loved to play baseball together. In an effort to avoid breaking windows, they would use a softball or fig from a tree in their yard and use it as a baseball. The Gwynns grew up fans of the LA Dodgers. Go figure that Tony Gwynn, the future Mr. Padre, grew up a fan of the Dodgers. His favorite player was center fielder Willie Davis, who was with the Dodgers for 14 years, from 1960 to 1973. In high school, Tony gained a reputation as a dual sport threat, playing baseball and basketball. He was recruited by several colleges, including Cal State Fullerton and Texas Christian University. Eventually, Gwynn would choose to play for San Diego State, but with his sights set on being a basketball-first athlete. San Diego State University is home to the Aztecs, but it's also where Tony Gwynn started to make a name for himself. Gwynn became the basketball team's star point guard and was an all-conference player twice. Tony Gwynn didn't start playing baseball until his sophomore year of college. Once he did, he immediately found success. In his 3 seasons of college ball, he led the team in hitting twice, and was nominated to be an All-American also twice. As a junior, he batted .423 with 6 homers and 29 RBIs. He would follow that up by hitting .416 with 11 homers and 62 RBIs in his senior year. Playing within the Western Athletic Conference, he made history, becoming the only athlete to earn all-conference honors in multiple sports. In addition to this noteworthy accomplishment, in basketball, he would earn the school record for assists in a game with 18, a season with 221, and a career with 590. Tony Gwynn's success in both sports caught the attention of both the MLB and NBA. In 1981, he was drafted by the San Diego Padres in the 3rd round and the San Diego Clippers in the 10th round. Both teams wanted to have a homegrown franchise player. In the end, Gwynn decided to sign with the Padres. Shortly after the draft, Tony Gwynn would marry his wife Alicia, whom he'd known dating back to elementary school. Once in the Padres farm system, Tony would make his presence felt, winning MVP honors in rookie ball and earning a call-up to Double-A. In his first 23 games there, he hit .462, because of course he did. He began the following season in Triple-A, where he would hit .328 in 93 games. As a result, he would finally get his chance to play in the big leagues. On July 19, 1982, Gwynn made his Major League debut against the Philadelphia Phillies. He went 2 for 4 and got his first Major League RBI. 1982 saw Gwynn get into 54 games where he would hit .289 with a 107 OPS+. Not too shabby, but there was some room to grow. 1983 was the last season Gwynn wasn't an everyday player. As a part-timer, he hit .309 and posted a 105 OPS+. 1984 is the year Tony Gwynn came into his own at the big league level, not just as an offensive threat, but also as an elite defender in right field, where he spent a majority of his career. He led the league in fielding percentage and assists in 1984, thanks to his cannon for an arm. On the hitting side of things, Gwynn batted an incredible .351 with an .853 OPS, 141 OPS+, 213 hits, 33 stolen bases, and struck out just 23 times in 675 plate appearances. That equates to just 3.4% of his plate appearances. It is truly impossible to get into just how amazing that is, but if you watch my Wade Boggs video, I mentioned that his career K percentage was a tick below 7%. That's better than Ted Williams. Gwynn's career K percentage was 4.2. If that isn't impressive, I don't know what is. Gwynn in 1984 got the attention of Al Oliver, a 7-time All-Star and a .303 lifetime hitter. I'm not in awe of too many people, but Tony Gwynn is the best looking young hitter I've seen since I've been in the big leagues. I can honestly say that I would pay to see him hit. Gwynn would win his first Silver Slugger and first batting title this same year. In MVP voting, he finished third, which is the closest he got to winning an MVP in his career. Much like how Wade Boggs was robbed of American League MVPs, Tony Gwynn was robbed of National League MVPs. While they are by no means identical, they have similar formulas to their approach at the plate and were underappreciated as two of the best contact hitters of all time. After the 1984 regular season came to a close, the Padres were very much in the thick of it when it came down to the postseason race. The Padres would easily take the National League West Division crown and go head-to-head with the Cubs in the first round of the playoffs, which at the time was the National League Championship Series. They would win in 5 games, and Gwynn played a big part in that. He would bat .368 with a .907 OPS, driving in 3 runs and tallying 7 hits, 3 of which were doubles. For the first time in Tony Gwynn's career, he was going to play in a World Series. The Padres matched up against the Detroit Tigers, who won 104 regular season games and looked like the favorites over the 92-win Padres. Unfortunately for San Diego, they would lose some close games and fall in 5 to Detroit. Gwynn would bat just .263 in the series. 1985 was a down season for Gwynn, by his standards. That still meant hitting way north of 300, posting an OPS plus well above league average, and finishing 3 hits shy of 200. He would make the All-Star team and finish 23rd in MVP voting. 1986 saw Gwynn get right back in the saddle. He demonstrated durability by playing in 160 games, leading the league in at-bats, runs scored, and hits. He would showcase his speed yet again and stole 37 bags to pair up with 14 dingers. He would make the All-Star team for the 3rd year in a row, won his 2nd Silver Slugger, and for the first time in his career was a Gold Glover. If Tony Gwynn was going to win an MVP in his career, it should have been in 1987. He would one-up himself in the batting average department, hitting .370 en route to winning his 2nd batting title. He led the league in hits with 218, posted 36 doubles, 13 triples, and .958 OPS, 158 OPS plus, and stole a career-best 56 bases. He would win his 2nd Gold Glove award in a row and earn his 3rd Silver Slugger. 1988 is a unique season, a season in which Gwynn did not make the All-Star team thanks to a slow start at the plate. A .277 average and .704 OPS were uncharacteristic of Gwynn, although this was likely attributed to Tony playing through an injury that he sustained on his left wrist in March. He would go on the injured list in May, causing him to miss way more time than he would have liked. While he may have been cold at the plate, he was able to reach his first major milestone, tallying his 1,000th career hit against none other than Nolan Ryan. After the All-Star game, Mr. Padre awoke and batted .347 with an .869 OPS to finish the year with a .313 average, good enough to win his 3rd batting title, his 2nd in a row. In MVP voting, he finished 11th. In 1989, Tony Gwynn was back to business, leading the league in hits and batting average, hitting .336 and winning his 3rd straight batting title. He would steal 40 bases, post a 132 OPS plus, and would win a Silver Slugger and Gold Glove for his efforts. In MVP voting, he finished 8th. He did all this while battling wrist and Achilles injuries throughout the second half of the season. You'll soon realize that the resilience Tony Gwynn had is unmatched. After this season, Gwynn, if he wasn't already, was establishing himself as one of the greatest hitters in the history of baseball. Talent was a major factor in his success. However, Gwynn had a historically great work ethic that was fueled by his discipline. Gwynn said it best himself, "I am a natural hitter, but I have to work hard to keep it." Tony put in countless hours in the batting cages, finding value with hitting off a tee, as many hitters do. He already was blessed with sharp hand-eye coordination, but it also helped him to go the other way and hit the ball where it was pitched, which he did better than anyone else. Gwynn was aware of his talent and had this to say regarding his approach. "One of the reasons I get so many hits that way is because it's hard to read the ball off my bat. My hands come through the zone first and the barrel trails, and it kind of hides the ball from the fielder until I've already hit it. They don't see the ball hit the bat. They just see the ball off the bat. By the time they react, they can't get to it." But what you might not know about Gwynn is that he was one of the first players to watch video of himself and of opposing pitchers during games. He was known to take multiple VCRs on road trips, taping the game on one and taping his at-bats on the other, after which he would study them in his hotel room. Unfortunately, Gwynn's streak of 3 straight batting titles came to an end in 1990, but he still hit over 300 because come on now, we're talking about Tony Gwynn. Nonetheless, he made the All-Star game and won a Gold Glove, his 4th such award. During this season, he fractured his right index finger while trying to make a catch against the wall in Atlanta. He missed some time but still ended up playing in 141 games by season's end. Gwynn would miss more time the following season in 1991 after undergoing his first major knee surgery late in the season. It caused him to miss the final 21 games of the season. Gwynn ended his season batting .317 with a 118 OPS+. He finished 16th in MVP voting and won his 5th and final Gold Glove award. He followed the season up with an eerily similar season, hitting an identical .317 and posting an OPS just 1 point lower. He did this while sustaining 2 injuries, a fractured finger and a sprained knee ligament. The injuries resulted in Gwynn playing in a reduced 128 games. Heading into his age 33 season, it was a wonder as to where the Tony Gwynn of old was, because while he had been great in the preceding 3 seasons, it was still a notch below the output that he put together from 1984 to 1989. Now of course, injuries were a major factor, but Gwynn needed to right the ship, and that he did. In August of 1993, Gwynn reached the 2,000 hit milestone, which put himself in a great position to reach the 3,000 hit club before his career was said and done. 1993 saw Tony Gwynn hit .358, his highest batting average in 6 years. He would post an .895 OPS, 138 OPS+, tally 175 hits, 41 doubles, and steal 14 bases. Oh, and I forgot to mention that this was in just 122 games.
Wow.
He suffered an injury in September and had a surgery late in the season to clean out loose bodies in his left knee. 1994 was a season to remember for Tony Gwynn, a season that saw a chase for history not seen since 1941. What was the feat, you might ask? The illustrious 400 batting average in a single season. 35 men in the history of baseball have been able to do it, none of which occurred post-integration, which started in 1945, when Jackie Robinson broke the color barrier for the Brooklyn Dodgers. The most recent occurrence of a ballplayer hitting 400 or higher came in 1941, when Ted Williams accomplished the feat. As you can imagine, Tony Gwynn in 1994 was having his best season yet. Through the first half of the season, Gwynn was batting .383 with an OPS 1 point shy of 1,000 and had 9 homers to that point. His 161 OPS+ was considerably higher than his career average. Everything was going right for Gwynn. It would only get better. August saw Gwynn hit .475 in 40 at-bats, bringing his average up to an unbelievable .394 mark, just 6 points shy of the illustrious .400 mark. Gwynn had his sights set on .400, only to have the rug pulled out from under him when the Major League Players Union went on a labor strike, ending the season prematurely. Gwynn had been within 20 points of .400 for a majority of the season, and to have the season end the way it did was heartbreaking. But Tony Gwynn handled the situation like a pro. Following his final game of the season, Gwynn would say, "People look at this as individuals not having a chance to break records, but guys have sacrificed careers to make things better for a lot of young baseball players. As far as I'm concerned, getting an agreement is more important than hitting .400. While he did go on to say that it was disappointing not getting the opportunity to get those 6 points, he was very pleased with his performance throughout the 1994 campaign. Let's take a look at what Tony Gwynn was able to accomplish during the 1994 season. Like we mentioned before, he finished the year batting .394, which earned him his 5th batting title. In addition, he posted a .454 on-base percentage and recorded 165 hits, both of which led the league. He accumulated a 1.022 OPS and 169 OPS+, both of which were career highs. In just 110 games, Tony Gwynn put together a season that came ever so close to baseball history. We'll never know if Gwynn would have hit .400 that season, but considering how his August was going before the strike, I wouldn't have put it past him. Naturally, he would win a Silver Slugger award and finish 7th in MVP voting, which might feel like a robbery, but there were some particularly great performances that unfortunately hindered Tony's chances of winning his first MVP award. Jeff Bagwell and Greg Maddux had seasons so great that they deserve their own separate videos. When you put together a season like the one Gwynn had in 1994, it's incredibly difficult to try and replicate that performance. Mr. Padre did his best. In 1995, another strike-shortened season, Gwynn was remarkable. He batted .368, earning him a 2nd batting title in a row the 6th of his career. He led the league in hits with 197, drove in 90 runs, a career best to that point, 33 doubles, a 137 OPS plus, and won another Silver Slugger. In MVP voting, he finished 9th. He did all this despite fracturing his right big toe in August after fouling a ball off his foot, which, surprisingly, would not cause him to miss a lot of games. He finished the year playing in 135 out of 144 possible games. For his efforts off the field, Gwynn was presented with the Branch Rickey Award, given to the top community activist in Major League Baseball. The following year, Gwynn repeated as the batting champ, hitting .353 and made the All-Star team for the 8th year in a row. On May 10, 1996, the Padres had a game that was delayed and eventually suspended to the following day because of rain. Tony Gwynn told Padres coach Tim Flannery to be ready because he knew the pitcher would throw him a first-pitch slider, which he would deposit into left center field to tie the ball game up. Flannery shrugged it off, but sure enough, the following day, Gwynn's prophecy came to fruition. As Flannery says, he knew what the pitcher was going to throw him before the pitcher knew what he was going to throw him. Throughout this season, Gwynn was once again dealing with injuries. Only this time, they were more severe. He missed 8 games with a right heel injury and went on the injured list in July after injuring the ever-dangerous Achilles, which caused him to miss 30 games. Gwynn would come back in time to help the Padres in the final stretch leading up to the postseason. The Padres would win the National League West, finishing with 91 wins. Unfortunately for San Diego, it would turn out to be a first-round exit after failing to win a single game against the St. Louis Cardinals. Gwynn would bat .308 with 1 RBI in the series. After the season, Tony would have surgery on his right heel. What many didn't know was that the Achilles injury put his career at risk. Overcoming that type of injury is achievable, but the extent to which Gwynn had it was worrisome. Gwynn luckily was able to manage his injury and put together a season not hampered by injuries. 1997 was an exceptional year, in which he won his 4th consecutive batting title, hitting .372, the highest of his career in a non-strike shortened season. His 220 hits were a career high and led the league. He would knock in a ridiculous 119 runs and hit 17 dingers, both of which were career highs. The increase in power numbers led Gwynn to a .957 OPS and a .156 OPS plus. But getting back to the 119 RBIs, how did Gwynn do it? His highest RBI total prior to this season was in 1995 when he drove in 90. The spike in RBIs can be attributed to Gwynn's preposterous .459 average and 1.259 OPS with runners in scoring position, regardless of situation. Even when there was 2 outs, Gwynn still had a .412 average and 1.214 OPS. For his career, he hit .349 with an OPS north of 900 with runners in scoring position, which explains why 1997 was so out of the ordinary. Gwynn's 1997 was certainly one of his best. To put the cherry on top, he would win his 7th and final Silver Slugger Award, and finished 6th in MVP voting. 1998 and 1999 saw Gwynn miss a combined 62 games as a result of the Achilles injury flaring up again and a strained left calf. Gwynn was still able to put together a .321 and .338 batting average in 1998 and 1999 respectively, while posting an OPS plus right around his career average. In 1998, Gwynn went on a final postseason run. He played a major part in the Padres making it to the World Series. Unfortunately, they came up short, losing to the Yankees. Gwynn was spectacular in the series, hitting .500 with a 1.217 OPS in 16 at-bats. In 1999, Gwynn made the All-Star team for the 15th and final time, his 11th in a row. And more importantly, Tony Gwynn joined the 3,000 hit club on August 6, 1999, his mother's birthday, which so happened to be the same day he recorded his 2,000th hit as well. Coincidence? I think not. Throughout Gwynn's age 40 season in the year 2000, he would once again have knee trouble, which would in turn cause him to undergo season-ending surgery. When the Padres bought out Gwynn's contract following the season, he became a free agent for the first time in his career. Eventually, Gwynn would return to San Diego, but would miss 64 games in the first half of the season while dealing with an injured right hamstring. When he returned, he got hit with the injury bug again, this time because of a torn meniscus in his right knee. On June 28th, Gwynn announced that he would retire at season's end. From there on out, he was given a standing ovation at each stadium the Padres would visit. Gwynn was honored as a non-playing squad member in the 2001 All-Star Game. During the game, Gwynn was presented with the Commissioner's Historic Achievement Award. October 6, 2001 was the day of Gwynn's final career hit, a pinch hit RBI double. He finished the year with a .324 average, his 19th consecutive season batting at least .300. There were times throughout that streak that it looked like injuries might hold him back, but lo and behold, each time Gwynn finished the year batting .300 or more. For his career, Tony Gwynn finished with a 69.2 WAR, 3,141 hits, a .338 average, and a .132 OPS+. A 15-time All-Star, 5-time Gold Glove winner, 7 Silver Sluggers, and 8 batting titles, which is second all-time only behind Ty Cobb. Gwynn famously batted .302 with 2 strikes, and in high-leverage situations was even better, batting .345. It's hard to fathom just how fantastic Tony Gwynn was. Gwynn certainly earned his fair share of hardware, but unfortunately the MVP award was not one of them. Injuries to his fingers, wrist, knees, and Achilles tendon cost Gwynn around 500 games, the equivalent to 3 full seasons. Had he played those games, he could have finished significantly higher than 18th on the all-time hits list. After his playing days, Tony Gwynn continued his devotion to community service. He would create the Tony Gwynn Foundation to help fund organizations supporting children in need, such as YMCA and the Police Athletic League. For 14 years, he hosted the annual Tony Gwynn Celebrity Golf Classic to raise money for the foundation. The San Diego Padres honored Tony Gwynn by making his name and number the official address of Petco Park, 19 Tony Gwynn Way, which opened in 2004. Tony Gwynn became the head baseball coach at his alma mater at San Diego State immediately following his retirement from baseball. He would take over the program in 2002 and won the Mountain West Conference Coach of the Year in his second season after leading the Aztecs to a league title in 2004. Gwynn would play a part in developing future major leaguers Steven Strasburg and Justin Masterson throughout his coaching career. Tony Gwynn's son, Tony Gwynn Jr., would go on to play 8 years in Major League Baseball starting in 2006. In 2007, Tony Gwynn and Cal Ripken Jr. were inducted into the Baseball Hall of Fame, both in their first year on the ballot. While coaching at San Diego State, Gwynn's health problems started to mount. His career-long use of chewing tobacco was catching up with him. He was able to quit, but it was very difficult and was too late. After 2 benign tumors were removed, the third one turned out to be cancerous. Gwynn underwent radiation and chemotherapy for months while battling salivary gland cancer. After years of treatment, he tragically passed away on June 16th in 2014, at just 54 years old. 2 years after his passing, the Padres built a statue that overlooks right field at Petco Park in honor of Mr. Padre. Tony Gwynn is an all-time great who was larger than life. Let's all strive to be as charitable, resilient, and hardworking as he was. His perseverance year in and year out, while dealing with injuries, many of which he played through, is inspiring. Unfortunately, he was taken away from us way too soon, but Tony Gwynn in the time he had was an inspiration to all and did it with a smile. Let me know in the comments down below your thoughts on the video. If you enjoyed, make sure to leave a like and consider subscribing. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Later.